today, 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 today. You know it's great to be here with you today. Alright, let's go around and say hi to everyone. Hey, Penelope, it's good to see you today. How you doing, Penelope? Yeah, good to hear. And Alfred, it's good to see you today. How are you, Alfred? Right, good to hear. Yeah, and Ellie, it's good to see you today. How's your day then? Good? Alright. And you, it's good to see you today. How you doing? You know it's great to be here with you today. Alright, here we go. Hey, it's good to see you today, 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 today. Hey, it's good to see you today, 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 today. You know it's great to be here with you today. Hello and welcome. My name is Bob Miller. I'm a music therapist with Music for Life of Pittsburgh, LLC. And this is a video tutorial to show about my Hello song that I wrote while I was in grad school. This is a fun, bouncy little song, as you heard, and it's one that I find is accessible to many different ages and can be used with a lot of different populations. This song is based on a typical 12-bar blues progression. In this progression, you have 3 chords. You have an E7 chord, you have an A7 chord, and you have a B7 chord. The progression goes something like this. It starts out with 4 measures of the E7 chord. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it moves to 2 measures of the A7 chord, 2, then back to 2 measures of the E7. Then you have a B7 chord, then an A7 chord, then an E7 chord. Then you can throw one more B7 to do a turnaround. So 1, 2, 3, 4, A7, 2, and E7. Alright, then a B7, and then an A7, and then another E, and back to D. One more time through E7, 2, 3, 4, then A7 for 2, and then E7, yeah, then a B7, and then an A7, and an E7, and then a B7, and we'll end it on E. So here's an introduction to the pattern that I use for the E7 chord. Basically, there's 2 melodic lines that are combining together to create this sound. The first one, we can start on the G string. We put our finger on the 1st fret. We're starting with the note G sharp. This is based off of the traditional E7 shape that we know. This finger moves up 1 fret. We have the note A. It moves up 2 frets, and we have the note B. And those are the 3 notes that make up half of the melodic pattern here. Then if we go back to our E7 shape, now we're going to look at the A string. Here, starting with the 2nd fret, which is the note B, we move up 2 frets to the note C sharp, and then 1 more fret to the note D. And these make up the other half of what's going on with the E7 pattern. When we put them together, we have this, which is 6ths. It's moving in 6ths. Then if we strum them, it gives it that nice full sound. As far as fingering these, if you notice, my 1st finger stays down the whole entire time. It starts in the E7 shape, as we know. It moves up to the same finger shape as the E7 chord, only we're up a few frets. Then in between, we have a fret in the middle. It's like spreading out the E7 shape by a fret. So we have E7 shape spread out by a fret, and then up to the E7 shape again. And that's the E7 pattern. So the A7 pattern is doing much the same thing as the E7 pattern, only the fingerings are slightly different. Here we still have the A7 shape we start with, and we're ending up on the 5th fret with the A7 shape again. Then we have an in-between chord. The two patterns here we start with, for looking at the B string first, we start with the 2nd fret, which is the note C sharp. We go up 1 fret to the D, we go up 2 more frets to the E. Then if we look down at the D string, we start on the 2nd fret, which is the note E. We move up 2 frets, which is the note F sharp, and then we go up 1 more fret to the note G. When we put them together, sounds like that. Now in the E7 progression, the pointer finger ended up being the guide to help me figure out where I was. Here, my middle finger is the one that's the guide. It stays down the whole time. As it moves up 1 fret, now I'm adding my ring finger. Then as we move up 1 more fret, we just go back. Really, you don't ever have to lift up your pointer finger. I do, just because that's the habit I've gotten into, but it can stay down the whole time. But then when we strum that one, then we have the A7 pattern. So for the B7 chord in this song, it doesn't do as much as the other two did. There's not as much moving up and down. But basically, starting out with the B7 chord, sometimes I just slide it up 1 fret and then back down. Another thing that I sometimes do with the B7 chord is to take my middle finger, which is down here on the A string, and I move it down to capture an F sharp in the bass. Now when I do that, and even with the B7 in general, there's a couple strings that sometimes are not part of the chord. For instance, when we have just a traditional B7, the low E is not in the chord. One of the ways I get around that when I'm strumming, aside from practicing just hitting the 5 strings, is I wrap my thumb around the guitar and I rest it against the string, so that when I strum, you don't hear it. Same kind of thing happens when I move my middle finger down to get the F sharp. What I do is, instead of it being straight up and down, I actually lean it back just a little bit against the A string. Not enough to ring the note, but enough that it mutes it. So then I can bounce back and forth and get that moving. And that's the B7 chord. Let me talk about the slides for a moment here. Basically, sometimes I aim for a certain spot. A good one to aim for is the 12th fret. If you look at the 2 dots, right here and right here, if you look at that, that's like the nut of the guitar. So if you slide the E7 shape up just past the 2 dots in the 12th fret, it's an octave higher on those, which can work for the E7, can also work for the A7. If if you want to, can also work for the B7. So sometimes when I'm sliding, I'll aim for it. I don't always hit it. It's still fun to throw in and try and go for it. So that's one thing you can do. You can slide that way at the end of the phrase. Or sometimes I even just slide around for the whole thing. So if I'm playing, then I might go, just play around that way. Another thing that I do, I originally wrote it with the B7, sliding like that. For whatever reason, I've gotten away from that. Now I tend to do more the B7 and then the A7. And going from there. But it's the kind of thing where you can play around with the pattern and really do whatever you'd like with it. Sometimes, instead of going up all the way, sometimes I just rock back and forth between the first two notes. Same with the A7 chord. Sometimes I just rock back and forth. Or you can take it, sometimes I even just go between the E chord and the E7. And the A as well. Another thing you can do is just totally lift your fingers off the neck. So the pattern itself has a lot of ways that you can play around with it. So now we'll put it all back together once again, and I'll play through the song one more time. Well, hey, it's good to see you today, today. Hey, it's good to see you today. You know it's great to be here with you today. Well, whoever, it's good to see you today. And then I usually just stay on the E7 chord to keep the rhythm going as I'm speaking, asking how they're doing, whatever it is. Then hey, it's good to see you today. Then I do the E7 again while I'm talking. And then I just keep going with that until I run out of people. Hey, it's good to see you today. And then once I get to the end, then I do it. No, it's great to be here with you today. And I go around again. Sometimes, if I have an odd number of people, and I end up doing an A7 kind of thing, then I'm talking to someone, I might just throw in an extra A7. Just change the progression to meet the needs. Then another A7, good to see you today. Then just you know it's great to be here with you today. So then, when I get to the end of the session, just to throw it out there for you all, this is also my goodbye song. Well, it's time to say goodbye. Well, it's time to say goodbye. It's been fun, but it's time to say goodbye. Well, whoever, it's time to say, yeah, whatever kind of goodbye you can just add in. Sometimes we get other languages. Sometimes we get people just doing a wave. They don't want to say anything, which is fine. You know it's been fun, but it's time to say goodbye. So there you go. There's my hello song that I use. Also the goodbye song. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments or send me an email. My email address is bob@musicforlifepgh.com, and I'd be happy to answer anything. So thank you very much. Have a great day.